So it's in my not so humble opinion that the Where the Wild Things Are is a book that's based on journeying, or what's otherwise known as shamanic journeying. Okay, so the book will focus on our character Max in his wolf suit, and in the picture you'll see here that Max in the wolf suit looks very similar, if not identical, to traditional shamanic garb with, the animal style skins or suit or clothing. There will be antlers, fur, etc. And then what follows is fasting, right? He's not allowed to have his dinner. He has to go to sleep without dinner. And traditionally, one of the methods to induce trance or coming into a higher way of thinking or operating was through fasting. Shamans would utilize these techniques to enhance, their connection to spirit. So then that sort of kicks off Max's journey into, the other world, to where his room starts to grow into a forest. And then he kind of starts to dance and howl at the moon, to where the moon was a very important thing for, shamans, medicine men, wise men, because energy would be very high during full moons, right? There's the werewolf, right? The full moon, whoa, turn to the thing. Max is wearing a wolf costume as well. Interesting. So then, he's dancing, howling at the moon, and also they would employ the use of dance to induce trance. They would dance so much that, you get tired to the point that you have to sit down, you're dry heaving, hyperventilating, and then that enhances, your mind's connection again to that higher state of thinking, or, spirit, if you will. So Max does this, and then all of a sudden, it's like when journeying, time functions different. It's like in the book it says, through a day, in and out of weeks, and over a year. And then he arrives where the wild things are. And then you see him meeting all these creatures. Some of them look like dragons, some of them are humanoid, some of them are completely animal. And a lot of it is similar to what, shamans in their visions, they'll draw the different creatures in ancient cave art and stuff. They'll show similar creatures. In this book, they're showing the creatures and Max interacting with them and, using magic to kind of get them under his influence, to where it was an old technique to stare at something for a long period of time without blinking in order to see into its soul, right? So then upon Max doing that, the spirits answer to him, which again, the shamans would work in spirit in order to get answers from a higher perspective, right? So these things tie in, and it's pretty unique. And again, they start to let the wild rumpus start, right? The moon is out, and they start dancing all together in trance or ceremony, whatever it is, which shamans would utilize drums as well as dancing to get in those states, because the percussion rhythm would kind of, different frequencies and waves would kind of help you tap into different levels of your brain, which would enhance your connectivity to other parts of your brain that you don't regularly access, right? So then they're all doing that together and they have fun. And then, Max kind of gets tired of being in, that world and his imagination, etc., and wants to go back home. And then he goes back home, says bye to the monsters, the spirits. And again, it says, over a year, in and out of weeks, to a day, to where he's right back in his room. And then they kind of give you a time reference as to how long he's been gone, because traditionally the trance wouldn't last long. The dance, it would maybe be anywhere from 15 minutes to 30 minutes of drumming and dancing, sometimes an hour, but usually was shorter. And it said that he came back to his room to find that, and also he had taken, the hood off, kind of he's no longer in that, that shamanic state, if you will, with the mask on. He took the mask off, kind of wiping his eyes. He's tired now, coming back to the real world. And, the world, all of it is, real, but that's another discussion. And to find his supper, his dinner. And the author emphasizes that it's still hot, to show that, whenever the dinner was brought into his room, and then he started to, come into his imagination or, spirit world, whatever, he came back to where his dinner was still hot. right? It hadn't been a long time. And then he kind of just calms down and he feels better and everything makes sense. So to me, it looks like the author either had, you know, some kind of historical bout with understanding shamanism and decided to make it a cool children's book, or they had some experiences themselves, but I find it a very interesting correlation.